them up about 6 inches. Straight in the bottom.
Square it. All right.
If you look at my scope right now, I'm currently dialed up at 10.8. So at 1,000 yards, 25-50 on the velocity.
All right, guys, this is Tracer83. And as we mentioned in my last video, I'm out here with UCS Spirit doing some testing on the XLR charts that we put together. He's already got his charts for his 308, and so far they look like they're giving us pretty good results. We're just taking a few shots at a ram, I think it is, out there at 500 meters. All right, so I got out here earlier. I beat Tracer83 out here just because when it comes to shooting, man, I want to get out here. I enjoy shooting. Something about it just is calming and soothing. It's like going to the spa, you know. But been out here. We've shot the 308 and the 338. The 308, I was just putting some junk ammo through, just having fun, just making sure everything's kind of close. I've already got my temperature. Again, I was right at 26%, roughly 95 degrees with my Kestrel. I have some old charts that were based off of that, and I've been pretty much hitting everything right on with it. The charts have just been completely accurate. I can't even... It's like I almost can't miss if I really, well, I can because it's really easy to do, but the charts are pretty much putting me right where I need to be, so no arguments with that.
So what's the match grade, quote unquote, ammo that you're gonna be shooting? So your good ammo.
Right. So my good ammo, I'm shooting 185 grain Lapua D46 bullet, which is a rebated boat tail. I've got it loaded up on 40.5 grains of Varget, and it's roughly 2,550 feet per second. Given this temperature condition at 95 degrees. I have the charts to support this. We've been out here, we've used the magneto speed, I've chronographed everything. The rounds are perfect. We've gone through, I've checked them with the concentricity gauge, checked everything out where they need to be. So barring any craziness, I should be right on with those charts.
All right, guys, so what we're gonna start out doing is we're gonna get our muzzle velocities for a rifle that we don't have them for. So my 308, I've got an idea of what my muzzle velocities are, but since I've got UCS Spirit's magneto speed, which I'm going to get one here before too long. Since I've got it mounted, I'm going to test my muzzle velocities for a variety of temperatures. I've got my ammo sitting here on the bench. I've also got some ammo sitting out in the sun behind the camera, and then in this cooler I've got ice, and I've also got my ammo wrapped up inside plastic to cool it down. I'm going to use the IR thermometer to get the actual ammo temps, and then we're going to record those. And when we go back and build our charts, then we'll calibrate them accordingly. You'll see there up at the top that we got different columns, 70, 80, 90, I think it goes all the way up to 130, and there's a muzzle velocity corresponding to each one of these. That's a projection based off of testing. This calculator has a ballistic curve for muzzle velocity factored into it, where it'll generate predicted changes to muzzle velocity and populate them in these tables. However, it's better to go out and get your own muzzle velocities and try to infer your own curve. This is for my 300 Win Mag. Right now I'm going to test my 308 so that I can build this product when I get home. Really quick, we're going to get our conditions. I almost forgot to mention that. We'll take our Kestrel 4500, I've got one and he's got one. We'll get our barometric pressure, our current air temperature, and also our humidity. Humidity doesn't affect the flight of your bullet that much, but since we're here doing it, we might as well account for it. So right now, the barometric pressure is pretty close to the last time I came out here. It's at 26 inches of mercury exactly. I think last time it was at 26.02. So I'm going to write that down in my data book. Now I keep a data book or a ammo log out here every time I shoot, but I don't base my drop off of what's in here, or I don't get my firing solutions from the log. I get those from my charts or from a ballistics calculator. but I keep them in here just for reference so that I can compare different conditions, or if I want to build charts or something, I'll have my information here from the last time I went shooting. That way I don't have to go out and take a trip to the range just to specifically build charts like we're doing here. We're doing it this time just for the sake of the video and because we've got 4 different rifles. All right, our humidity is 25.2. And temperature is 95. So with that, I'm going to test the actual ammo temperature with the IR thermometer. That's hard to say.
Get that temperature.
What I'm doing now, guys, is getting an actual ammo temperature with the IR thermometer, and it looks like it's at about 94 degrees, so pretty close to ambient air temperature. So I'm going to annotate that for the first few shots that I'm going to record. All right, now that all that's out of the way, we can start doing some shooting. Real quick, since I don't have any charts, I'm just going to use Ballistic AE to get me on steel here at a pretty close range. It doesn't change that much based on even your load at 2 and 3. My hold for 200 is 0.4, I think, and 3 is 1.5. It's very rare that with the 175 it's any different than that for me. So we're gonna send out a couple rounds with ammo at an ambient air temperature, record what we get out of that, and then I'm gonna let the barrel cool a little bit and we'll go on to the heated ammo next. And it might help if I get out my shooting bag, my sand sock. .2702, so that's a little bit faster than I was expecting based on last time I got a trued muzzle velocity from Ballistic AE, but it's a lot hotter out here than it was last time I shot. Also, I don't think I dialed down my scope all the way from last time I was out here, so I went sailing right over the target. It helps when you're not 5 mils high. All right, that's 5 shots. Like I said, I'm gonna let the barrel cool down a little bit and then we'll switch to ammo that's a little bit hotter and see if we get raised muzzle velocities from that. I'm liking what I'm seeing on my loads. My standard deviation right now is 13, which isn't spectacular, but that's also not giving any time for the barrel to warm up as I've been shooting, and with a cold bore and all of that put together. Pretty consistent though so far. And also I really want one of these now. All right, I got my ammo heated up. It's been sitting out in the sun for several minutes. I've got it up to about 115 degrees. I'm not too worried about it being too hot or excessive pressure or anything like that because it's a relatively mild load to begin with. So I'm gonna hurry up and shoot it before it cools down. All right, it looks like my my MVs have gone up a little bit. Also, my average has tightened up quite a bit. My standard deviation out of these 5 shots is a 6, and that's excellent. So, once again, we'll let the barrel cool down and take our last 5 shots with this ammo that I've got sitting in an ice bucket in its own little separate container so it doesn't get wet. And I expect the difference in temperature will be quite a bit more with the cold ammo than between the warm ammo and the hot ammo, just because it's already pretty hot out here. And now we'll do our last iteration. I'm really interested to see how this works out. See if I can fish everything out of here. Let us see. Okay, it looks like we're down to about 64 degrees. So that's going to be a much bigger difference. But who knows? Maybe we'll shoot it and there won't be much of a difference at all. And how do we reset one more time?
Okay. If you want to use the magneto speed, you got to learn how to use it. There you go.
Thanks, friend.
Yeah. Call me the ninja.
Oh, that's a new one. I thought I heard all of them.
It's all good.
A ginger ninja. Helps when you take the safety off. .2662. That is quite a bit of a difference. All right, let's go ahead and shoot the rest of these real quick like. Don't remember if this holds 3 or 4. There we go. .2660. Oops. .2678. I got a little overzealous on my wind call there. 2678 again. Dead center. 2680.
These are starting to warm up a little bit.
I think so too. Yeah, I could tell as I was just feeding him in there, they were warming up real quick. But that's a bigger difference than I thought there was going to be. Because I gotta be honest, I kind of thought the ammo temperature thing was a bit oversold, but apparently not. I mean, that's like almost a 40 foot per second difference average. As for about 40-ish degrees.
Tiborasaurus Rex makes a good point when he talks about muzzle velocity variation based on temperatures.
Yeah, absolutely. Now granted, this don't take this, for all you out there in YouTube land, don't take this for gospel, the particular results that we're getting, because it's all going to depend on your ammunition, especially your powder, and the conditions you're shooting in. But that's very telling, and I think this is going to give us some good data for our charts.
Okay, so what I'm doing here, I've got the historical data on the charts. Currently it's roughly 95 degrees outside, so I'm going to run with the 90 data just because that's my interpolation. I can go between 90 and 100 and we can interpolate. So we know that the range is 910 meters roughly, and I've got that dialed in on my chart here. So I'm using my nice pencil here in 338 Lapua. I'll come down 910 meters, I'll come across to 90. It says my drop's 21.58 minutes of angle, and if I look at 100 degrees, it's going to be 21.39. So I'm looking at a difference slightly of 0.2. So I'll go 21.4, roughly 21 and a half or 21 and a quarter minutes of angle of a drop. So that's what my charts say. I'll dial it into the scope here. I'll throw a little bit of windage in and send a round down and see if we hit.
All right.
So,
and once we get some more refined data, then we can also get the supplementary charts, like the primary and secondary functions, in which we'll be able to actually calculate based on the cosines, the Coriolis spin and all that. But here, just because we've shot this range 100 times, spin for the 308 is about 0.3. If you combine that with a little bit of Coriolis there is, it's probably going to be a little bit less than that for his 338, so it's not going to be anything too major. We'll look that up real quick. I don't remember. Is there a spin table on your charts?
there it is.
Oh, okay. I thought you had to go to the secondary charts for that. So we'll dial that into the scope real quick. We're not going to get too fancy. Okay, yeah, there it is. We're not going to get too fancy with Coriolis because it's going to be only enough to basically round off your spin number.
Yeah. A quarter of a minute of angle.
Okay, yeah, so I mean that's significant enough, but don't lose your pen. But we'll just send a couple rounds and see how it works out, because really what we're testing here anyway is the actual drop, to see how accurate these XLR charts are compared to other ballistics programs. What'd you hit?
The steel.
The orange?
No, yours.
Oh.
That's why that thing
That was loud.
jumps like it freaking got hit by something that... It's like someone walking up and slamming it with a sledgehammer.
All right, I don't have any fancy wind formulas for your 338 because I don't own one, so that's all on you. That's a hit. Well, I'd say the charts are working out for your 338 as well.
I would have to agree.
First round at 1,000 yards. Now, I can't tell exactly, but I think you're pretty much right in the center of the plate.
That's about where I was aiming.
Hit.
You actually heard that one.
Another hit.
Am I hitting the bottom swing or the top?
I can't tell because when you hit the bottom one, it makes the top one bounce around. I got about a 4 mile an hour wind, so you're only holding 0.2 of a mil to the left.
Yep.
Actually, I think you're hitting at the bottom of the bottom plate.
The bottom of the bottom plate?
I think so. That thing's still swinging so much.
Let me come up a little bit then. Alright, it just came up 0.2 of a mil.
Okay. That should be about 6 inches.
Holding center mass.
You're about 6 inches right. 6 inches right off the right side of the target. So,
alright.
Yeah, you're about a foot right from center. Yeah. The last thing we're going to do today is take the XLR charts that I brought with me for my 300 Win Mag and try those out at 1,000 yards or 910 meters. I think they'll work out pretty well. The only issue that I might run into is, like I said, I inferred my muzzle velocities for this rifle using Ballistic AE and using the truing option in the ballistic calculator. Now, normally that's a really good way to do it because the bullet doesn't lie. And if you've got all of your other inputs correct, then it should give you good outputs and a good trued muzzle velocity. But where I might run into a bit of a snag is when I did that, I used the G7 ballistic model, and I did it a couple different times in different conditions. The XLR charts by Meccastreisand require a G1 ballistic coefficient model. That shouldn't create an issue because I sort of ran the numbers in JBM and also in XLR, played around with them with the G7 and the G1 just to see if I could kind of induce an error. I used Brian Litz's G1, a tested G1 for the 220 grain Sierra Match King, and everything seems to be going pretty well. Everything seems to be lining up. So we'll send a couple rounds downrange and see where that gets us. I'm pretty confident, but you know, if there is an issue, then I can just go back, tweak it a little bit, and print out some new charts, and those should be good to go. Really briefly, I just want to sort of go through these charts so you can see what they look like. Some of you have probably already seen Rex's and Meccastreisand's videos, so you know how these are set up, you know how they work. But for those who haven't watched the videos, I'll post the links down in the description below and just give you a brief run through. I've already mentioned earlier that this is basically a extended way of getting data from a system like JBM Ballistics. So if you went into JBM or any other ballistics calculator, you would put a single air temperature into the calculator and it would give you one drop table for whatever your barometric pressure is. I've got these set for 26 inches of mercury because that's pretty standard for where I'm at. As you'll see later, actually I'll just show you right now. If you have changes to barometric pressure, then you can just go into one of these other supplementary tables that'll give you what the change is per inch of mercury. The reason these are set up based on a single density altitude is that's what's going to change the least in a single day or in a single AO or a setting. If you're hiking up and down mountains, then you will get some change, but that's what these other tables are for, and it's too easy to just make the small adjustments needed for changes in density altitude. So right now it's warmed up even more and we're shooting at about 100 degrees ambient air temperature and we're shooting at about 910 meters. So I'm going to go over here to the 100 degree column, which corresponds to 2,672 feet per second. That is the projected muzzle velocity for this temperature. I think that is pretty close based on previous experience and the truing that I've already done. So my hold should be 8.07. That's closer to 8.1. Now, I also know that my ammo temperature does not currently match ambient air temperature because I've been in the shade. It's quite a bit hotter out there. It's about 100 degrees out there and it's about 90 degrees in here. So I'm basically just going to add another 10th to my elevation, 10th mil to my elevation, and see where that gets me. So as you can see, it's pretty simple. And the benefit of having a set of charts like this is you don't have to print out an individual data sheet every time you go out to the range, or if you're in a tactical environment, you've got certain conditions you think you're going to be in and have to kind of guess and do it ahead of time. This should cover your bases wherever you go, as long as you don't change your environment drastically, because then you probably would benefit from making a different set of charts. All right, so what we're shooting at right now is a 12-inch orange plate at 1,000 yards or 910 meters. I went ahead and took down my accuracy first target, the two-piece silhouette, because we're gonna take off here as soon as we're done with this. But you know, let's see what our drop data gives us and how close on we can get. The only issue I'm probably gonna have here is wind, because this is it might not look like it, but this is a really tricky setup to call wind in, and that's just because we got berms on both sides, and also it's really easy to think the wind is going one way, because down at the target you'll see mirage going in a certain direction, and then you'll have it going in two completely different directions closer to the firing point. So we'll play around a little bit and just see how accurate our drop data is. All right, right now I've got 0.2 mils indexed on my optic itself, because that's what the charts are telling me my spin drift is going to be for the 300 Win Mag. As I mentioned in my last video, I've got a Tremor 2 Horus reticle in here with wind dots built into the glass. So the accuracy first wind formula is actually part of the reticle, and so far it's worked out really well for me. So I won't actually be using the wind data that's in the charts, although I know it's pretty accurate because I have used it before. But we'll go ahead and hold on, I think 8.2. Hold just a tiny bit of wind and see where that gets us. Try to load into this. Make sure I'm level. There we go. That's a hit. And it looks like our wind value is actually null right now. So I'm holding dead center. Okay, well, it looks like the wind's moving a little bit faster than I thought. Looked like my elevation was good. So I'm going to go ahead and hold all the way over onto that wind dot. Good windage. Now I'm a little bit low. That could be me on the trigger too. there we go. That's a hit. All right, guys, I think we've got our answer. I think these charts are going to work out just fine. I had to do a little bit of tweaking with my muzzle velocity, a little cross-checking to make sure it was good to go. But I'm very happy with the results. I knew they would come out fine based partly on UCS Spirit's experience with them, and also my own sort of comparisons with JBM and other ballistics programs that I've done already. I think if you need a field expedient way of getting your drop data, these are the best way to go. I think the only thing better than having a set of charts like these would be an analog ballistics calculator, or even an electronic ballistics calculator, not one that's on a cell phone, however, because as handy as this is at the range, I really wouldn't want to take it out to the field with me, because I've had my phone shut off because it got overheated before, battery runs out, all kinds of things. And if you're in a tactical environment, that's not the best place to take your cell phone anyway. But if you've got something like a Kestrel with the Horus feature to it, or a PDA with A-Track software, then those might be good primaries, but I would still have a set of charts like this as a backup. If you don't have that quality of electronic or digital ballistics calculator, then I would use these as your primary, no doubt about it. And then use other methods or other means, such as a quick cheat sheet, dope card on the inside of your buttstock, that sort of thing, as a secondary. Next order of business for me, I think, is to take this Excel document, put it on a disk, take it to Kinko's or someplace, have it printed on high quality paper in color, maybe have it shrunk down so I can put it in my kit, and go from there. As always, I hope you found this video informative, or at least entertaining. Make sure you click that subscribe button, like and share, and until next time, keep your eye on that crosshair.